All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Alita Spire, and I like to say I'm a mom of 6 and a grandmother of 16. And I'm on a mission, along with some of the other people on this call, to inspire healthy living around the world. And I am so thrilled and excited to be part of this call tonight. I was like choked up all week because of the incredible women who are on this call and men who are on this call that care for special needs kids. And so before I start, I want to introduce a couple people that are going to be on this call. So first of all, we are so blessed to have one of the leading healthcare professionals in our industry, Dr. Candace Corson, who's a Yale School of Medicine graduate, a residency in family medicine, University of Rochester, New York. She served as a non-commissioned officer in the U.S. Public Health Service, rural North Carolina in the 80s. And in the 90s, she was part of family medicine and in integrated medicine. She's a speaker on nutrition role in human health and environmental health problems. So she will be featured somewhat later on in our call. But right now, I want to very proudly and honorably introduce an incredible human being that I had the pleasure of meeting less than 4 months ago. Her name is Brittany Miller. She has just inspired me so much. Her and her husband Ryan are Arizona natives and are happily raising 3 beautiful daughters, Juliet, Audrey, and Brookie. Brittany is a busy mom. Oh boy, you know what busy is. As special needs mama and active in the local special needs community at the hospital where precious Brooke receives treatment. Brooke, 7 years old, was diagnosed 5 weeks old with a life-threatening disease of Achardia syndrome, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, vision impairment, and extreme developmental delays. Despite the daunting diagnosis, Brookie, she's called Brookie the Brave, is thriving at her own little pace and doing much better than her doctors originally predicted. Thanks to life-saving interventions and quality medical care at Phoenix Children's Hospital, Brookie is here today and a great blessing to her parents and sisters. She has 2. Though through the journey of raising Brookie, Brittany has had many opportunities to help other special needs parents. Brittany now serves on the Family Advisory Council at Phoenix Children's Hospital, volunteers on the Patient Alumni Group at PCH, and served in the Achardie Syndrome Family Conference Committee, volunteers for raising special kids, and as a parent mentor, and manages several local special needs parents groups for support and friendship. Brittany loves to be involved, helps other special needs parents on their journeys, and gives back to the local and medical community. I'm like choked up every time I see your Facebook page on all the good you do in our community. Brittany and her family have embraced their challenges and try hard to make life as joyful as possible, despite their trials that they have. Their family's motto is, "Come what may and love it." You love that? And that is what they are currently doing. I love you, Brittany, and I'm so grateful that you have chosen to jump on the call with people that you love and care about. So I'm going to take it away, girl.
Thank you, Alita. You're so sweet and generous. That was such a kind introduction. So everyone, I am so excited tonight and honored. Honestly, I've just been kind of giddy all day thinking about the fact that I am on a phone call connected with countless special needs parents all across the country. I was trying to explain to my little girls about that, and it's just surreal to think about all of us connected, all these people who want to better our lives and better our children's lives, and it's just gives me the chills. So thank you for being here, and I'm so excited to tell you about something that has become a true blessing to our family. Alita mentioned my husband and I, Ryan, we're from Arizona, and we're here raising 3 beautiful daughters, Juliet, who's 11, Audrey, who is 9, and Brookie, who is 7. We are a busy family. We try really hard to keep normalcy despite, the challenges of being special needs parents, which I know a lot of you, of course, can relate to. So when Brooke was 5 weeks old, she was diagnosed with Achardie syndrome. Previous to her diagnosis, I had a normal pregnancy. I have scheduled C-sections. She was born and deemed a healthy baby girl. When she was born, I noticed one of her eyes wasn't opening, and I was reassured by physicians, oh, she's fine, she's fine. But mother's intuition won out, and we ended up taking her to a pediatric ophthalmologist and found out she had something called microphthalmia. Microphthalmia can be associated with other diseases, but it also can be something that you find on your own. It causes blindness in that eye, and it's a smaller eye. So she always looks like she's pregnant, but I think it's cute. So, of course, at the time, that seemed like such a travesty to us, and we were thrust into the whole Hang
on one second. We got a little... We've got a blender going somewhere, so if there's somebody's blender in the background, would you make sure to mute yourself out? I'm looking for you to see.
They're making their shakes, right?
I'm finding people that I'm muting as we go. So I'm finding them.
Okay. So anyway, she was diagnosed with this eye condition. So we were dealing with that, and that seemed pretty a big deal. Well, 5 weeks later, we were at a Christmas pageant with some friends, and Brookie started convulsing, and what I know now is she was having seizures, which led us to the emergency room at Phoenix Children's Hospital and ended up with a diagnosis of Aicardi syndrome. Aicardi syndrome is a rare neurological disorder. She is missing key components in her brain. She has cysts in her brain, some abnormalities which cause cerebral palsy, visual impairment, intractable epilepsy and seizures, global delays. She has a feeding tube, all of these things, you know, that go along with her diagnosis. But honestly, she's one of the sweetest little girls I know, and she actually has a little bit of sass. I'm going to show you a picture of our family. See if I can do this correctly. There we go. These are our girls.
Yay.
So this is Brookie in the middle, and then Audrey's my blonde and Juliet's my brunette. So in the process of getting these devastating diagnoses, I know all of you understand that it can be pretty overwhelming. My husband and I have tried really hard to maintain normalcy. And from the very beginning, we decided that, even though we have a child with a essentially terminal illness, we are going to do our best to create a happy family and to give all of our girls the best quality of life as possible. So we have learned a lot in these 7 years. She just turned 7 a few weeks ago. In fact, her diagnosis anniversary, I like to call it, was pretty recent. So I'm amazed, actually, if I think about where I've come in these 7 years. I feel like a whole different woman, and I know that you guys can attest to that. You learn so much being a special needs parent. So now we're here, and we've dealt with so many hospital stays. Brooke has intractable epilepsy. She has had, not anymore, very devastating GI problems. She's probably been hospitalized at least 10 times for GI discomfort. We've had to do some different interventions that are really painful and uncomfortable. She's had extreme behaviors, chronic eczema, and just so many things that I was looking for something. Our last actually long hospital stay was this past September to October. We were there for about 3 weeks. And it was a really tumultuous stay. There were so many things going wrong. She got this really nasty infection called C. diff. In fact, a lot of you probably know what that is because you're medical moms and dads. And on top of that, she was having these chronic digestive issues, and her epilepsy was skyrocketing, and things were really stressful. And I just was feeling pretty full of despair. A good friend of mine, Nanette, who you will meet in a little bit, she saw how I was struggling, and she sent me a little video and some information about a company called Juice Plus. And I'll be honest with you, it was heartfelt and it was wonderful, but I was so overwhelmed that I just tucked it away and just kind of put it at the back of my mind. I couldn't imagine putting something else into my little daughter's body. I'm sure many of you have had this experience, but since Brooke has been diagnosed, I've had very well-meaning, good-hearted friends come to me with ideas, with interventions, with remedies, with essential oils, with supplements, with so many different products on the market, hoping to help her. And honestly, it kind of just turned me off because I was just worried. I just felt like there was conflicting information, and some of these ingredients, I couldn't even understand what they were on the label. And so when I first heard about Juice Plus, I just kind of was like, thank you, no thank you, which now I regret, of course, because it's changed our life. So anyway, back to this hospital stay, something that's really hard for me to talk about, but a lot of you that follow my Sweet Berkey on Facebook saw that her GI physician came to us with the surgeon, and they wanted to put a colostomy bag in her. Now, I don't know about you guys, but putting a colostomy bag on a 7-year-old to me just was so devastating. And I don't know why it hit me so hard. She already has a feeding tube. You know, she's already developmentally a baby, even though she's 7. And so we deal with all those total care things anyway. But to me, this surgery just seemed so final, and I wasn't ready for it. And I talked with her doctors. I talked with my husband. And that night in the hospital, I almost had a spiritual experience where I felt prompted to open that video that Nanette had sent me. And it was a video about nurses and Juice Plus. And as I was watching this video, and all they were talking about was fruits and vegetables, and a light just kind of went off. And I realized that this actually was whole food nutrition. This wasn't some weird chemical. It wasn't a supplement. It was fruit and vegetable nutrition. And I thought, you know what do I have to lose? This will be healthy for her anyway. Her diet is so limited. She'd been living off formula and Miralax and harsh laxatives. And I just decided, you know what? I'm going to take this prompting and go for it. And I'm so glad that my friend, who I've already respected for a long time in the special needs world, but now I have a kinship with her in Juice Plus, because she got me started. And within 2 weeks, Brooke has been completely off Miralax. She hasn't had a laxative in 2 months. Her eczema is completely cleared. Her overall wellness is just so much better. She is so much happier. And in turn, I feel that it's improved her seizures, because when you feel better, you're not seizing as much. She's happy. She's sweet. She's tolerating her therapies. She is doing so much better, and we can finally go back to the normal family happiness and experiences we were used to having. And honestly, it's been so much better. Because of her little example in doing so well with Juice Plus, now my whole family's on it. My children, they're in elementary school, and they are exposed to every illness out there, and my kids have not been sick. Right now it's cold and flu at the school, and my girls are thriving and doing well. My husband actually was diagnosed pre-diabetic, which was pretty scary about a couple months ago. And he's not really one to listen to me as well with eating perfectly and exercising. However, he decided to commit and try Juice Plus. And we recently had his blood work done, and he is no longer pre-diabetic. And the only thing he has changed is eating a little better and adding these wonderful whole food nutrition to his diet. Now, you guys are caregivers, and you understand that being special needs parents takes its toll. And I definitely was one of those parents that was run down. I haven't slept through the night in 7 years, and I still don't, but at least I have the energy to get through my day now. And I just was feeling really tired. During my hospital stay, I had blood work done. I left and had blood work done, and was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, and chronic fatigue syndrome. I forgot to mention that before we started Juice Plus, I'm a medical mom, so I'm all about facts, which I know you guys are too. I took Juice Plus to her dietitian, her GI doctor, the surgeon, and they were all on board. In fact, many of them are looking into Juice Plus for their own children now. So it gave me the confidence to start her and my whole family. My thyroid doctor is super supportive, and it was really awesome. 2 weeks ago, I went in and had my a saliva test done for my adrenal function, which before was so low it wasn't even registering on the charts they give to their patients. And I also had my labs done for my thyroid levels, and everything is coming up. Everything is getting better. I have the energy now to work out, to eat right, and to do the things that help me function as a mom, as a caregiver, as the person I need to be for my special kid and for my other kids. And so now that I've found this wonderful company and this wonderful product that's changing my family's lives, I just feel like I've been so blessed. And so I've had this passion. I want to share it with people that I love and care about, and especially special needs parents, because I know we need it so badly. We need that extra nutrition to help us face this life, because it's not for the faint of heart. We need that extra health. We need to be our best so that we can face some of the tough stuff we face every day. Is our life perfect and easy now? No, but I have a happy child who's a lot more comfortable and who's not catching every illness. I should mention that normally this time of year, we're in the hospital for pneumonia and respiratory problems. And for Cardi girls, those are very life-threatening, and she is not. She is doing great, and I just can't wait. I can't wait. We've only been doing this for a few months, and I'm so excited for when we're coming back a year from now, and just to see the progress I know we'll all have made just by taking something simple, fruits and veggies in a capsule that can bridge the gap between the nutrition I know we need and the nutrition we weren't getting. And so I just, it's so important to me. It's been an answered prayer for our family, and especially for my sweet Brooke, who has suffered so much. I really, truly know that these phytonutrients and antioxidants are healing her little body and helping her cope with this devastating disease that she has. So that's my story. That's my passion. And there's so much more I could tell you about her little life, but those are the things that have been recently impacted us and have led us to this beautiful journey that we're now on. And so I'd like to actually introduce Nanette. She is the one, my good friend, who I've already respected for years in the special needs community. She has been a mentor of mine. Any family in Arizona that is affiliated with Phoenix Children's Hospital knows Nanette. She also works for Raising Special Kids, and part of her job actually is to help special needs families and advocate for them. She also trains medical residents on how to give family-centered care and to make the hospital experience the best it can be for these families who are struggling so much. She is her and her husband have 6 beautiful children, and they're just amazing. Her third child actually was born with spina bifida, and Annie is just a little rock star. She has overcome so much and has had so many life-saving interventions at Phoenix Children's, and has been such an example to so many in our community of perseverance and strength. Not to mention, not that they didn't have anything else with their hands full, but she also has a child with ADHD and sensory integration disorder, as well as another child that has some pretty significant GI problems. Despite all of that, they are a happy family and a great example to me. So thank you, Nanette, for letting me be part of this journey, and I'll let you take it away.
Oh, thanks, Brittany. I absolutely love you, and I am so honored to be on this call tonight. Like Alita said, I've just been all choked up all week too, thinking about it. Just being in the company, this is such an honor of such strong, amazing women. So thanks so much for everybody for joining in tonight. I'm really excited to share my story with everybody because honestly, whether you are struggling with your own health condition, or whether you do have a child or you're a caregiver of a child that's got medical challenges, Juice Plus is absolutely amazing. It has literally changed our lives. And so I wanted to share a little bit about how it has changed our lives. Like Brittany said, my husband and I, we have 6 kids. Our oldest is 17 and the baby is 6 right now. And I mostly talk about Annie because she's the one that really introduced us into this whole world of having a child with special needs. So I had 2 regular pregnancies, the first 2 kids, and when we found out we were pregnant for the third time, I always get my husband, he doesn't like to find out what we're having, and I kind of push, I get my way, and we're there at the 20-week ultrasound to find out if Annie was a boy or a girl. And it's on that day that our lives were changed forever. I'm sure a lot of you can relate because many of us receive a diagnosis early on with ultrasound. So we were there, and that day the doctor shared with us that our little Annie she had myelomeningocele, which is the worst form of spina bifida. She also had severe hydrocephalus, and she was also born with what's called Chiari malformation of the brain. So pretty devastating diagnosis. Our world was completely rocked at that point. We had no reason to ever think we would ever have a child with any disability. And honestly, I'll never forget the next few days. We had to literally mourn the loss of the healthy baby that we had envisioned and somehow wrap our brains around this new precious child, not understanding anything at all about her diagnosis or spina bifida. And it was hard. I also went on to have in utero fetal surgery at 26 weeks gestation. I traveled to Nashville, Tennessee to have that done, and then returned home to Phoenix, and she was born via C-section. And, when she was born, her first few years of life were just riddled with hospitalizations. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that too. A lot of surgeries, a lot of procedures, and the utter exhaustion that comes with that is so hard for all of us. It's not an exhaustion that a simple nap, can cure. It's also difficult for family members and friends who may have never experienced that. It's hard sometimes to understand or to know how to support your loved ones. So that we were tired. We were very, very tired, not only taking care of Annie's needs and constantly running back and forth in the hospital, but caring for the other kids as well. And I remember, when I look back on it, we were just functioning on, in survival mode, what they call it. Just trying to understand, again, everything we could do for our child, not focusing so much on our own health. So as most parents often do, we just let our own health take a back seat. It wasn't priority number one. So about a year ago, fast forward 13 years, and Annie is now 13 years old. And about a year ago, I remember my husband hurt his arm at work, and I convinced him to go to the doctor since he doesn't like to go to doctors. And when we walked in and the doctor came in, I said, here's my chance. And I shared with her a lot of the symptoms that he was having. She immediately said, we're going to order an EKG. And as soon as they did it, the results came back. The doctor came back into the room and she said, you have an abnormal EKG. I'm sending you over to a cardiologist. So I remember turning to her and asking her, is this something we need to do today or could it wait? And she said, you need to get to the doctor immediately. So we did. We went over to the hospital, and the physician that, after tests were done, they ordered a sleep study. It's so foggy, I don't even remember all the tests that they ordered, but they came back after all said and done, and they sat us down, and they were so frank with us. They basically said, Ched, you have to get on a CPAP machine. You have severe sleep apnea. You also have to quit drinking alcohol completely, or you're not going to be around. You need to lose weight as well. If not, you're not going to be around for your children. So that was just, it hit us like a ton of bricks. At the same time that he was given that diagnosis, our children were also struggling with their own health issues. I remember just going back to the doctor, and it was, let's try a new medication. Let's up the dosage, things like that, which make you just, you feel like you're losing your footing, you're losing your ground. Even our healthy kids, even our typical, my oldest is an athlete. He eats everything organic. He's super healthy. And even he was getting sick all the time and missing out on a lot of school and games as well. So, for us special needs parents, a little cold can really affect our children in a really serious way. Even though the siblings might just bring home a little bug, a little cold, for Annie, all of a sudden it would attack her where she's the weakest, which was usually her bladder. And then all of a sudden she would be having a full-blown bladder infection that would land her in the hospital with IV antibiotics. So special needs parents, even the little things, the little bugs and little colds that they pick up at school can be really, really devastating. So right around all this time when our lives were literally falling apart, I remember my dear friend Alita inviting me to a salad party. And I came, and I remember one of the things that stuck in my mind the most, which we'll be introducing her in a little bit, was I saw a video about another special needs mom. And it was a video about Holly and her beautiful family. And, she doesn't have the children that have the same diagnosis as me. But as I watched that video, I thought, she's like me. She and her family are struggling, just like we are. And it made such a huge difference. And it really, really touched my heart. And I remember it just clicked for me. I thought, fruits and vegetables, how, that's awesome. You get it into you flood your system with fruits and vegetables, and then all of a sudden your body knows what to do and your body heals. It just made sense for me. And thank goodness we went home that day. I remember being so excited to tell Ched about, Juice Plus and all the awesome things and that it does. And I could never in my wildest dreams have ever dreamed how amazing it's been for our family. So just to share with you a little bit about, the kids and Ched, his cholesterol numbers were terrible. They were absolutely terrible. And even though he had adapted exercising and eating clean, they were still terrible. And the doctors wanted to put him on cholesterol meds. Juice Plus alone brought his cholesterol down. And I remember the doctor asking him, what are you doing? Because I've never in the history of my practice seen a patient improve so quickly and so well. So that was fun to share about Juice Plus with her. And then for my son, who's the athlete, he keeps telling me, Mom, I feel so great. I've got more endurance. I'm not getting sick. I can attend my games and I'm excelling on the court, which is really exciting for him. And then Our kids with ADHD, I am happy to report that they are off all ADHD meds. We have 2 children that suffer pretty badly with ADHD, no more meds. And then our daughter, who's got severe constipation, and she has for a long time, is off all Miralax. And again, like Brittany said, that's huge. Not having to buy tubs of Miralax anymore is huge. And knowing that what we're putting into their body is good for them and helping them in the long run, it's just been amazing. So I just want to, share with you tonight, again, just my passion. I love helping people. I've always loved helping people. And I know how hard things can get when we're caring for our children, especially with medically complex children. And I just want to share with you how amazing this has been. It's just, I don't know, I can't put it into words. It's an answer to prayer. And yeah, I hope all of you can enjoy it. So now I would like to introduce Dr. Candace Corson. Dr. Candace Corson is an amazing, not only is she brilliant, and she's a wonderful family medicine physician, she's also a parent herself, and she's going to share with us some more of the factual stuff and the good stuff that Choose Plus does for our bodies.
Thank you so much, Nicole, and thank you, Brittany. I am so touched by your stories, and I know we'll get to hear Holly, you 3 amazing mothers on a mission. I really relate to this on a very deep level. I decided when I was 4 years old that I wanted to be a doctor and help people have less suffering and more health and resilience and joy, and just to feel good and enjoy their lives. And my parents were very supportive of that. And as I went through eventually, my education, but my training, I started to see that there was a much more enormous impact of nutrition than we ever got taught about. And it's really when I entered the United States Public Health Service in a very impoverished area that I started to see the ravages of poverty and stress and terrible nutrition, and the impact of that on people's health, and taking away really years of life, but also massive amounts of financial resources, because all of us in our nation pay for poor health. In fact, just a big picture very briefly, there is no nation on this planet that can afford the level of illness that we have today in America. No nation can afford it. And just if we look just at our epidemic of diabetes in young people and in children, that alone, if we had no other problems, would bankrupt the United States in the near future, just by itself, our epidemic of diabetes. And it is a foodborne illness. It's not our genes going crazy. It's good genes being switched off and bad genes being switched on by our food stream. Stress has a huge role, and we've heard that already on this call. There's a ton of science on the role of stress, both acute and chronic stress, suppressing immune function. And so that's one of the huge reasons that I eventually, after being resistant to the idea of nutrition in a capsule or a chewable, I eventually had to pay attention, because what happened briefly for me as I started to study nutrition, which we did not get in medical school, and most med students do not get any nutrition education still yet today, even though the field is very deep and very well developed. It's only pharmaceuticals and surgery, and there's a place for those, but we have to combine everything to have a good outcome. And so as I started studying nutrition, I started seeing wonderful results in a holistic consultation practice I was doing, very rewarding. And then all of a sudden, my healthy sons had a rapid deterioration in their previously good health, and it happened really fast, and it was very humbling for me. That was the introduction of vending machines into their life all day, 5 days a week at school. And what happened is they stopped eating plant foods the first week. What happened? We would say their tastes changed, and that's true. Some advanced pediatricians say their metabolic programming changed, and that's what happens to human beings. We can change it for the better, we can change it for the worse. And really, my kids stopped eating plant foods because they didn't taste good to them anymore. And within 4 months, my 15-year-old, who had always been very healthy, developed asthma, which he'd never had a trace of before. And I was very humbled by this. My younger son at 13 also was having recurrent respiratory infections, moderately severe acne. All of this was new, recurrent bouts of missing school and more antibiotic prescriptions. And I thought, this is not good. And that's when the third person who cared about me over years of time shared this concept of concentrated fruits, vegetables, and now berries that are grown by small farmers on their own land, intensely nutritious, treating the soils, the earth with respect, and harvesting at peak of maturity, not picked way early the way that our produce is mostly handled in our country and then shipped for 1 or 2 or 3,000 miles. So we do need to eat the produce at our grocery store, but it is a much weaker quality than our ancestors ever had. And when I realized that there was a program where the children could be free, it was brand new at that time. This was 16 years ago, but I finally listened about Juice Plus simply to help my kids. I was sure that it was safe and good. It was food. The body knew what to do with it. I loved the research I saw from universities. There were 3 good studies. Now there are 36 peer-reviewed, university studies not done by the company. There is no other nutrition product in history that's ever been scrutinized like this. There are actually no pharmaceuticals that I'm aware of, or any pharmacist friend of mine, that have 36 studies on a whole wide range of what happens in the human body for physiology at all different levels. But bottom line, I decided I was very touched by the free program, and I would go ahead and start just for my son, but I would swallow or open these capsules, since I have trouble swallowing capsules, just in order that my son would do this. And within 3 months, his asthma was clear. He was sure it was a coincidence, and he tried going on and off and finally realized it was real. And for the last 15 years, he has been faithful using this nutrition, of course, learning a lot. There's so much education that goes all around this for people to learn as much as they want to, both the kids and the grown-ups. And today, I like to share with people, he actually does spend a lot of time in the emergency room, and that's because he's the emergency room physician in charge when he's at work, and he has not needed an inhaler or antibiotics for this problem in all these years. Now, just to fast forward, the impact on other people's lives is so profound. I have a huge heart for these moms and dads and grandparents. It just touches my heart to see what patients of mine have gone through over the years. And I've held one of the children in my family as he passed away, my grandson, who was only able to live 3 hours due to not being able to bring oxygen into his bloodstream through his premature lungs. But the bottom line is that when you have something that is safe, that is food, that is made by the same exact designer that designed our body, whatever one's spiritual or philosophical understanding of how this planet works, all can agree that the same designer that designed our body designed these plants. And that is what we're supposed to be made out of, and that is what we're supposed to be protected by. I want to just mention 2 incredible books that might be fun and helpful when people have time, if they're interested. One is a very new book. It's called The Good Gut, G-U-T, which is the medical term for the intestine and all of those trillions and trillions of good germs that are supposed to be there, that do our digestion for us, that make anti-cancer compounds every day, that make vitamins for us, that actually set our thermostat, if you will, for our immune system. They actually are our immune system, much more than we've ever realized. We lose those through antibiotics and many other things today. But The Good Gut is written by 2 PhDs. They're married, and their last name is Sonnenberg, S like Sam, O-N-N-E-N-B-U-R-G, Doctors Sonnenberg. And The Good Gut is an incredible book that explains why eating plant foods is so critically important for human beings. And what we know now, and this is quite new information, is that the food fibers that are left over after we have digested and used everything we possibly can, the calories, the fats, the sugars, the proteins, what is left, which if you're eating plants, it's plant fibers, that is the only food that will feed different populations of good bacteria. And those don't exist in animal foods. So I'm not here to bash animal foods, but I am here to say the data from thousands of studies around the world over decades shows that the more plants, the more variety people eat, regardless of their genes or their ethnicity, the longer they live, the less cancer, the less dementia, the less Alzheimer's, the less heart disease, the less inflammation, and the less infections. So we know that plant foods are now, we know that that's critical to the health of the good populations of hundreds of different delicate species that are supposed to be there. The more we lose those, the more we lose our health. We lose our resistance to infection, we lose our ability to regulate inflammation, we become more inflamed. So the other book I would love to share, I'm so touched by this book, was written by Dr. William Sears. I'm sure the most known, recognized pediatrician in the world. His website, askdrsears.com, is the most visited health website in the world. And he's become a dear personal friend of myself and my husband. His book that he wrote totally to donate is called Help Your Child Heal. And I hope that I can help your child heal, by William Sears. And this is available through the Children's Miracle Network. There is a website where people can go to get an electronic copy. And I know Dr. Sears wanted these to be in hard copy, but right now it's just set up that you can get it with a donation of any kind, which is going purely to the Children's Miracle Network. And that website is called helpchildheal.org, helpchildheal.org. And it translates to help your child heal. So either way, helpyourchildheal.org. I love this book. It's over 80 pages and it covers mind, body, spirit, emotions, nutrition, essential fats. It's just a fabulous book. But I just want to say, we were taught, any of us that flew on airplanes or have flown, my first flight was when I was 10 years old. That was over half a century ago. To put on your own oxygen first. If you're traveling with a person who needs your help, especially a child, you would put on your own oxygen if there's any need for that. And I asked my mom, why would you put on your own oxygen first? And the answer is, of course, without you, the parent, your child is completely vulnerable. So that is why I am so passionate now about sharing this nutrition concept, this pure concentrated nutrition without a sugar load, without a salt load, safe for pregnancy, approved for pregnancy, wonderful for nursing mommies, excellent for babies starting at 6 months old or whenever they're starting baby food, that it is wonderful for parents to have for not only their energy, as we've heard about, but their coping mechanisms, stress. The brain is the most vulnerable of all of our organs to nutritional stress. And we know now that most of what goes wrong in our brain today has to do with inflammation. So as we bring that inflammation down, we give the body the healing reparative molecules, the body knows what to do with it. Parents not only feel better, but they are healthier, they're stronger, they're more resilient, and they're able to be there for their child better. And I absolutely love that the capsules are easy to open. They're really designed to be open for anyone who can't swallow a capsule with ease and safety. That means they're fantastic to use for children in smoothies or applesauce, or if a person can eat any kind of food, they can eat this food added to whatever they're eating because it's already pre-digested. It's absorbed even with a very ill intestine, as long as they can have any food. And it's also fantastic to put down feeding tubes, very easy to do. So I've seen wonderful things. It's been 16 years that I have felt ethically compelled to share this with people that care about health and that want the best for their family. I mean, everybody wants the best for their family, but when people are searching for answers, it's something that won't interfere with any therapies or medication. It's very supportive before and after surgeries. And in our family, we just wouldn't consider doing life without it, but we especially would not consider, at this point, knowing what we know, doing pregnancy without it or doing a health repair without it. I want to just stop here and turn this over to a very dear friend. All of us, I just want to say, none of us are paid to do this work like this. All of us unrelated to other financially, and we just have a huge desire to help people have options for their very changing lives today. And Holly is someone I met and just really fell in love with as a person through a leadership program that we have both done in Indianapolis, Indiana. And Holly has 4 beautiful children. She and her husband have just grown exponentially with that experience, and I just want to turn this over to Holly. Holly, you've inspired so many people, including myself, every day.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Candace. Well, I just want to let you know this is I'm the last one, and I'm gonna keep this short as I just share my heart a little bit. And before I get started, I have to say, we've been thinking about this and talking about this. We've kind of had a message thing that we've been leaving messages for each other for the last probably 2 weeks. And so even before Thanksgiving, we were thinking about this call. And we were thinking about it this week. And I was, Brittany and Annette and I were talking about the people that we love who are going to come onto this call. And, as moms of kids with special needs or caregivers, we kind of get each other like this. Like, you find a parent who's got kids with special needs, you have to say like 3 words, and there's so much, know your people, right? And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, these are my people. Like, I know my people. I feel like I'm in a room with people. It's like, we could talk medical, we could talk doctors, we could talk poop. Like, we are on the same page. So that just gets me excited. And I'm just going to real briefly go over my story, because you know what? You guys all got them. We all lived it, and we've all been through it. And like when Brittany and Annette were talking, I'm like crying here, because I'm like, I remember that day too when I was pregnant and I got that in the ultrasound room. We were there, and we were there when we were at the doctor, and he said, you know what, your baby's going to die if we don't do something. And I was there, and I was like, you were in shock. You're like, what? Your brain just goes into lockdown. Everybody thinks they know how they would respond in a time of crisis. But we know that you have no idea till you're in that moment of crisis and how you respond. And how most of us respond is we do what we got to do for our kids. Like, we will take a bullet for our kids. Like, you tell me my kid's going to die, I'm going to do what I got to do to make sure that that kid not only lives, but they live and they get the services they need. We are like doing everything we can for the services, for the doctor appointments, for the therapies, for the IEP meetings, for the other siblings. Like we know what we're doing. And so, when I heard about Juice Plus, I was kind of, and then people call you constantly, mom, right? We know. And so when I heard about Juice Plus, I'm just real briefly, I'm going to share my screen and just show you my kids, because I like them and they're so cute and I like to share them. But this is my family. My husband and I have been married for 17 years. Maddie is 13, Makai is 11, Mitchell is 9, and Ellie is 6. I'm going to talk about these two the most. Makai, he has a rare spine defect. He's had 20 surgeries on his spine. He was going to die when he was 2 years old, but they did enough surgeries that he's living now. That's the short version. He's happy, beautiful. He has high risk for paralysis, but so far no more surgeries as of yet. It may be in the future. And then when I was pregnant with Ellie is probably who I'll focus on the most. Here she is. She is missing part of her brain, so she has... When I was 20 weeks pregnant, I found out that if she lived till birth, she would have no quality of life. Thank goodness the doctors were wrong, as we are right. We know our kids. We like it when they're wrong, because we get some bad news sometimes. We love them for how they care for our kids, but we're fighting for our kids. And so she's had 5 brain surgeries. She has hydrocephalus. She's got global developmental delay. She's autistic. She's blind. There's a little seeing eye cane. She kind of hits her brothers and sisters with it more than she's using it to see, but we're working on it. So that's kind of my family. And so when I was told about Juice Plus, I was in survival mode, like Nanette and Brittany talked about. I was waking up in the morning, just trying to get to bed at the end of the day. Nutrition, are you serious? Like, I'm talking life and death with my kids. You told me like they should make sure they eat their fruits and vegetables. That wasn't even on my radar. We were going in for brain surgeries. I was worrying about what medicines to give them and how to keep them alive, not to make sure that they didn't get the cold and flu. Like, at that time, I was like, live the sniffles. Like, I was not on my radar. So she told me about it. I was like, sure, it can't hurt. You know what? My little Ellie, she doesn't poop. She's got all the same stuff, whatever. So I thought I'll go home and I'll try this on her. I had no expectations of anything. Within 4 days, she had her first independent bowel movement at the age of 4, living a life of Miralax. We were going to go see a specialist, enemas, manual extraction, everything you could do to get these little poops out of her. She finally pooped on her own. And I was like, what is this? I'm like looking at the bottle. I'm like, Miralax didn't do it. All this other stuff didn't do it. And who would have thought something as simple as fruits, veggies, and berries would work the way God intended, like Candace said, and heal her little gut and help her body and all that fiber work through with her low muscle tone to get her body to do what it is designed to do. We took her in for a nutrition appointment about a week later. At that point, my daughter has a sensory disorder, so eating is quite the chore. So she had nothing in her body for probably 4 days except Juice Plus, because I could manipulate that and get that in her body. And she went in to have her blood drawn, and I thought, ugh, doctors are going to tell me everything I need to be doing that I'm not doing to get her to eat. And instead, they drew her blood, and her hemoglobin levels were not just average, but above average. And for my nonverbal little girl to have this, I had proof that she was getting good nutrition in her body. From that moment on, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to tell everybody I know about this. So this is the thing. Juice Plus was amazing. It helped my daughter poop. It gave good nutrition. I waited years. You know how we wait years for our kids to do one thing, and when they do, we celebrate like crazy? All of a sudden, her developmental, now granted, it was still slow, but she was having developmental increases that who knew the power of good nutrition, like our parents told us, would make a difference in their development. And for us, where we're waiting for any little developmental milestone, all of a sudden, I saw these developmental increases. I was like, oh my gosh, she's increased the number of words she has. I was like, this can't be juice. This can't be fruits and veggies. There's no way. And then she, obviously never sick. And it really was the power of whole food nutrition the way God intended. But unfortunately, she still was having lots of surgeries. And this time, though, we went in and she has a shunt, a VP shunt on her brain. And when it doesn't work, they have to go in and do an emergency surgery. It's always an emergency surgery. I never know when it is. And so she's had 4 of these surgeries. Well, this time for this surgery, she had been on Juice Plus for a whole year. You guys, this is like my excitement. I can't wait to show you. So we know our kids. How many times have they been in the hospital? They've had all these surgeries. We know it's going to happen. This is her ear and her head. So this is her incision 1 day post-op with no Juice Plus, okay? And it's fine. It's healing fine. This is 1 day post-op of her incision with Juice Plus. We didn't even talk about a lot of the science right now, but the science is incredible about what happened, and I was living it. So, the science talks about how it reduces inflammation in the body and increases circulation and protects the immune system and repairs DNA, yada, yada, yada. Okay, I'm looking at that picture of my daughter, no inflammation and cellular repair, and this was not a planned surgery that I could plan ahead of time. This was go in, went to the doctor, sign her up, and go do brain surgery. And her recovery was better. I just was like, thank you, Jesus. It was just a gift from God. And I really feel like, I'm kind of just going to close here, but I really feel like as moms, we are living where we have no control of our kids. We learned that lesson, that we have no control. And as we're grieving and whatever process we are on the journey, we don't have control, and we do everything we can to get good nutrition. But this was something that was so simple. I literally opened up capsules and put them in her smoothie, and she drank them. I could control this. I could make a difference. It was based on years of research, not just stories, although the stories are good, but years of research. And there was finally something that I had control that was making a difference, that I could see the results. And they weren't night and day. Some of them were 4 days, but that surgery was a year later. It was just that consistent getting that good nutrition in her. And finally, I'm going to give a plea to all of us moms or grandmas or whoever it is. You could have told me to take care of myself. I would have smiled at you and said, are you serious? I don't have time for that. Like, I literally would have, that's what I wouldn't even like, that's what I would have thought. I'm like, yeah, right. You want me to do this? I don't go to the doctor. I don't go to the dentist. I don't do anything for myself. My kids go, but I don't know. So, and honestly, I should go in, so you can yell at me about this, but for my yearly, but who cares? Like, I don't have time for that. I am not taking care of myself. I was surviving. And when someone told me with this children's health study that moms have to take it too, I was like, okay, I'll do that. I'll be honest, I didn't take it very well in the very beginning because I was worried about my kids taking it. But then when I was sick and tired and not feeling good, and they were all feeling better, I was like, I should take this. It's like sitting there. And so I started taking it consistently. And they have we call a 10-day shred. And they have this 10-day shred program. And I'm like, you know what? I've been through a lot. I can do anything for 10 days. And here is me. This is what happens when you go through life grieving and living in the hospital 20 times for your son and 5 times, and you just let yourself go, and you're really, honestly, I could have cared less. I was just life and death. I never dreamed that I could be back to where I was. I never dreamed that I would have my health back. I never dreamed that I would have the energy that I need. I never dreamed that I would fit into my skinny jeans. And at the time, I didn't even care. But today, we are the only advocates that we have for our kids. We know that all too well. We know that we're the ones at the end of the day that are going to be taking care of them, that are going to be fighting for their needs at school, that are going to be fighting for their needs with their doctors, that when they get older and depending on their independence level, we're going to be the ones making sure that they have a place to live, or if they're with us. We need to be healthy. And it's fine for a while during survival when we kind of just have to ignore ourselves. But at the end of the day, your little babies need you healthy. They need mama to have energy. They need mama to be able to make good decisions and have clarity of mind, because the amount of decisions that we're having to make are not typical. And we need to be able to. And when we're not getting any sleep and we are out of energy and we're living on caffeine and we don't have good nutrition in our own bodies, how are we going to be what our little babies need? Or young adults, or wherever they're at, you know what I mean? And so now I have this huge passion that we really got to take care of ourselves. And as I have my screen on, I'm going to close on this. I have my screen where I can see a lot of your faces. And I'm looking at you guys, and some of you I know, and some of you I don't know. And the ones of you that I know, Heather, that you were in the hospital today with your little boy. You're in the ER today with your little boy. And I know some of you guys, it's not like this was a year ago or whatever. This was today. This is tomorrow or the next day. You're dealing with stuff with your kids. And we got to take care of us, because we love them. And you know what? They love us, right? Like, that's the best gift of being a special needs parent, is the unconditional love and trust we have from these kids is like the best gift. I would never trade it in the world. So I'm going to end, I'm closing, I'm done now, and it's 9:25, or well, I'm ahead, but I'm going to pass it to Alita, and I just want you guys to know, like, when we were talking about this, this is our hearts, and we really appreciate you guys, and for you guys taking your time and coming on the call and learning about this and hearing about this. I really respect and admire all of you parents and caregivers for what you're doing every day. And, you know, we're in this battle with you, and we love you, and we love your special kiddos. So, Alita, I'm done. I'm going to pass it on to you. And when you're muted.
Okay. Thank you so much, Holly. I so appreciate all 3 of you wonderful ladies for sharing, and Dr. Corson being there as a strong support for all of us. In closing, I want you to know that if you do choose to take a look at Juice Plus, that we're not going to promise that these wonderful things that have happened to these ladies are going to happen to you. But I tell you what, when I started Juice Plus 22 years ago, I had no idea I would not be sick for 22 years. So I'd love for you to talk to the person who invited you on this call. And I just want to thank you again, you amazing women. Your hearts are bigger than ever. Dr. Candace Corson, thank you so much for your support, your encouragement, your ethical responsibility that you've shared with all of us. And I want to end with something our own Brittany emailed me once. Isn't this love amazing and powerful? While difficult and often stressful, being a special needs parent brings tremendous love that cannot be measured. Often our needs are set aside and put on a hold, but we do it because we love our children. You know, special needs parenting requires almost superhuman love. You women have superhuman love. And we respect you, and I want you all to have a blessed Christmas. Thank you for joining us on the call. God bless you all, and have a great night.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
you.
everybody. Have a
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Alita.